Welcome back to the Be Ready YouTube video channel. I'm Mary Jean Urshan-Cook, and I am going to talk today about my story of how I became interested in emergency response. And so it was way back many years ago that I actually was a florist before I worked in the medical field. And I was at work one day and I brought my children to work, and my daughter ended up having an emergency situation. I had no medical experience at that time and didn't know what to do. I panicked so bad that I could not even call the number for the ambulance to come. She had quit breathing and had turned blue. Thankfully, my father knew CPR, and so he actually responded and took care of her, and she is fine. And today is a proud mom of 3 children, and the 4th one on the way, due in September. And so with that, then I took the next CPR class that was offered in our small community. I was not going to be caught in that situation again. And at that time, the way to recruit people to join the ambulance service in our small community was through CPR classes. And so they had asked me, would you want to take an EMT class? And I was like, sure. There is no way that I am going to be caught in that situation again and not know what to do when an emergency occurs. And so I took the EMT basic class, and I absolutely loved it and knew that that was my passion and that was my path in life. And so I became a nurse and enrolled in nursing school, thanks to the help of some of the people who I was on the ambulance service with, who coaxed me to take that giant step. So as my children started school in kindergarten and 1st grade, Mom went back to school also. And so I knew through my nursing education that I wanted to work in the emergency department, and so that was my goal. 27 years later, I have really enjoyed working in the emergency profession and helping others at their most vulnerable moment. And through that work, then, I was offered a position at the state of Wisconsin to manage the Emergency Medical Services for Children program. This is a nationwide program that is federally funded, and each state has an initiative to really improve care for children across the state. And so I was so fortunate to be able to lead that program for the next 8 years. While working at the state of Wisconsin and managing the Emergency Medical Services for Children program, in April of 1999, Littleton, Colorado faced an unimaginable tragedy of the shooting and death of many of their students and injuries. At that time then, what my work included was to look at the schools across Wisconsin to see how many of them would be prepared for situations such as Littleton. And what we found was that at that time, very few of our schools had a plan in place for a school shooting. So a team of us went to FEMA and were actually trained in school response, and came back and implemented that in the state of Wisconsin. Well, then another tragedy happened, a national tragedy. It was September 11th, 2001, when our nation was struck with the terrorist attacks. At that time, our Department of Homeland Security and the governor had asked to develop a program that would train youth so that if a tragedy would happen in the state of Wisconsin, our hopes were that any child who would respond or be affected by an emergency situation would know how to respond to that situation. And so that's how we had started the Ready Camp. We assembled a multidisciplinary team, including education, healthcare, fire service, law enforcement, and emergency management, and came up with our model called the Ready Camp. And since then, we have now been working with the Ready Camp and implemented 14 years of this camp. We have also worked in the schools themselves and have conducted actual Ready classes in the schools. But as funding has decreased, our only initiative is the Ready Camp, and we hope to expand that with the emergencies and the tragedies that are happening across our country, which include not only the shootings, but also we unfortunately have to deal with overdoses, suicide, and all other types of emergency situations. And so Ready Camp actually gives a positive response to those situations in training youth to be able to respond to for themselves, for others around them, their friends, their family, their schools, and their community. And so with that, we want you to learn more about the Ready Camp and our Ready initiatives and how we are making a difference in teaching emergency response, which then translates to life skills that no matter what profession that the youth decide to go into, that they are ready to respond and be able to recover from those types of situations. So we want to remind you to follow our channel and subscribe and hit the bell at the side so that you will be notified with all of our upcoming videos that we put on, because we have an exciting week coming up, and next week is Ready Camp, and so we will be interviewing some of the youth who are involved and who have been involved for several years. And so please subscribe and hit your bell so that you can receive these updates and learn how we are making a difference across the nation. Thank you.